It was 2:09 a.m. on March 29, 2019. Samantha Josephson, a beautiful and intelligent 21-year-old college student, was waiting for her Uber outside a bar in Columbia, South Carolina. She had enjoyed a fun night out with her friends and just wanted to get home safely. When a black Chevrolet sports sedan pulled up in front of her, Samantha didn't hesitate for even a second. She opened the back door and got in. It was her Uber, so she thought, but it wasn't. The man behind the wheel wasn't an Uber driver. He was a predator who had been prowling the area looking for a victim. And the moment Samantha closed the door, her fate was sealed. Because that man had activated the child safety locks, the doors could only be opened from the outside. Samantha Josephson was trapped. What happened in the next few minutes was so brutal that even the most seasoned investigators were traumatized. 120 stab wounds. 120. This wasn't just a murder, it was an act of unspeakable savagery. This is the story of Samantha Josephson. A story that changed ride-sharing laws across the United States. A story that reminds us how one small mistake can cost a life and one that should never have happened. To understand the gravity of this tragedy, we first have to know who Samantha Josephson was. Born on October 20th, 1997 in Princeton, New Jersey. Samantha grew up in a warm and loving Jewish family. Her parents, Sami and Marcy Josephson, often said she was the light of our lives. She had those bright, curious eyes and a smile that could melt the hardest day. Even as a child, Samantha dreamed of making the world a fairer place. In high school, she stood out, not because she demanded attention, but because she gave it. She defended classmates who were bullied, stayed late at the library before exams, and never failed to lift people's spirits. To her teachers, Samantha proved that kindness and brilliance can coexist. In 2015, she enrolled at the University of South Carolina, majoring in political science. It wasn't a random choice. Samantha wanted to become an international lawyer, someone who could fight for the voiceless, protect the vulnerable, and bring justice across borders. In her essays, she often wrote about faith in justice and the moral duty of her generation to shape a better world. Her friends remembered her as the one who always smiled, a member of Alpha Gamma Delta, known for bringing light into every room she entered. She wasn't just smart, she lived vibrantly. Samantha studied abroad in Barcelona, wandered through the narrow streets of Madrid and Paris, jotting notes about diversity and empathy in her travel journal. Those experiences only deepened her belief that she was meant to help others beyond culture, beyond borders. By March 2019, Samantha was standing on the edge of everything she had ever worked for. She had been accepted into Drexel University School of Law with a full scholarship and even received another partial one from Rutgers University. In just a few weeks, she would walk across the graduation stage, diploma in hand, ready to begin the life she had always dreamed of. That night, March 28th, 2019, she had no idea that the photos she took with her friends, laughing in front of the mirror before heading out, would be the last ones ever taken. She had everything: intelligence, love, a future, but in a world where evil can wear the mask of normalcy, sometimes one small decision is enough to change everything. Samantha never knew that within a few hours, everything she hoped to become would vanish inside the darkness of a car. Her light was extinguished that night, yet in a way, it still burns on. In the laws changed, in the awareness she inspired, and in the people who now whisper her name before stepping into a car at night. Because sometimes, a life stolen becomes the flame that saves others. It was the night of March 28th, 2019, in Columbia, South Carolina, a typical Thursday evening in the college town. The lights of 5 Points, the heart of the city's nightlife, flickered with the rhythm of music and laughter. Inside the Bird Dog Bar, Samantha Josephson and her friends were enjoying one of their last carefree nights before graduation. She wore a simple black dress, her smile bright and easy. No one knew this would be the last night anyone would ever see her alive. Around 2 a.m., Samantha decided to leave early. She had class the next morning, and as usual, she opened her Uber app to request a ride home. Her friends waved goodbye, expecting to see her the next day. His black Chevrolet Impala. He wasn't a rideshare driver. He was a hunter, a predator who prowled nightlife zones, looking for women alone, vulnerable, unsuspecting, trusting. At 2:09 a.m., surveillance footage captured the fatal moment. The Impala pulled up next to Samantha. She glanced at the car, saw what looked like the right vehicle, and stepped in. What she didn't know was that her real Uber was still minutes away. The door closed, and a soft click followed the child. Locks had been activated. From that instant, Samantha was trapped. In that moment, she was no longer a passenger. She was a prisoner. We will never know exactly when Samantha realized something was wrong. Was it when the driver took a wrong turn? When she tried to open the door and couldn't? Or when she saw the flash of a double-edged knife glinting in the dark? Forensic evidence would later reveal the unimaginable. Samantha had been stabbed 120 times. Her body bore signs of a desperate struggle, bruised hands, defensive wounds. In those final moments, she fought for her life, trapped inside a metal cage rolling through the silent streets of Colombia. Outside, the city remained peaceful. Music echoed from bars, cars passed by, and the world kept moving, unaware that inside one of those cars, a bright young woman's future was being extinguished. After the attack, Rowand drove out of the city toward Clarendon County, 65 miles away, a remote stretch of forest, where he discarded Samantha's body as if she were nothing more than an inconvenience. Then he vanished into the night. Her phone stopped transmitting shortly after. The Uber she ordered continued to show, arriving soon. One small mistake, one closed door, and the entire world of a young woman disappeared without a sound. Morning came on March 29th, 2019, in Columbia, South Carolina. Sunlight filtered through the blinds of the apartment at the Hub, where Samantha lived with her roommates, but her bed was untouched. The blanket still neatly folded, her phone, charger unplugged. At first, her friends assumed she had stayed with someone after the night out, but as the hours passed and every call went unanswered, a quiet unease turned into terror. By 1:30 p.m., they called the Columbia Police Department and reported her missing. The last confirmed sighting was around 2 a.m. When Samantha left the Bird Dog Bar in 5 Points, detectives immediately began piecing together her final movements. They pulled CCTV footage from bars, restaurants, and street cameras in the area. Then came the chilling moment. On the screen, at 2:09 a.m., Samantha appeared stepping into a black Chevrolet Impala. The car drove off into the night. She never reappeared. The police issued a statewide alert circulating Samantha's photo and the car's description. News outlets picked up the story, and within hours, her face smiling, full of life, was everywhere. Students across the University of South Carolina campus panicked. If it could happen to Samantha, responsible, cautious, sober, it could happen to anyone. That same afternoon, 65 miles away, deep in a wooded area of Clarendon County, 2 turkey hunters were walking along a dirt trail when they noticed something pale among the bushes. It didn't belong there. They approached and froze. It was the body of a young woman. At 3:45 p.m., they called 911. Minutes later, the forest was filled with flashing blue lights, yellow tape, and the sound of boots crunching leaves. Investigators from the Clarendon County Sheriff's Office and forensic units began documenting the scene. The body had been dumped carelessly, partially covered with leaves and branches. She hadn't been buried, just discarded. The brutality was staggering. Over 100 stab wounds, many deep enough to pierce bone. The pattern told a story of rage, control, and panic, and of a victim who had fought back until the very end. Nearby, investigators found traces of blood-stained fabric, jewelry, and personal belongings. When news of the discovery reached Columbia, every detective knew the truth before it was confirmed. They had found Samantha Josephson at 5:13 a.m. The next morning, her father, Sami Josephson, posted a short message on Facebook: "Samantha's no longer with us." Students gathered in tears, holding hands, whispering prayers for a girl most of them had never met, but somehow felt they knew. At 10:50 a.m., University President Dr. Harris Pastides released a public statement: "There are no words that can bring comfort, but in our grief, we find strength in the Carolina family that stands together even in sorrow." The campus mourned, and fear hung in the air like a shadow. Posters of Samantha's smiling face now carried a haunting message, a reminder that evil can hide behind ordinary moments. In the modern world, we trust our screens, our apps, our technology, the illusion of safety, but sometimes all it takes is one mismatched license plate, one wrong car, and that illusion crumbles. From that moment on, the investigation shifted. It was no longer a missing person case. It was a manhunt for a killer. In the early hours of March 30th, 2019, while most of Columbia, South Carolina still slept, a police officer patrolling near 5 Points noticed something strange. A black Chevrolet Impala creeping slowly through the same area where Samantha had disappeared. The license plate matched the one from the surveillance footage. The officer switched on his lights and signaled for the car to stop. He stepped out calmly, hands in his pockets, but when the officer approached, inside the car, detectives found bloodstains, along with Samantha's cell phone and her car keys. The evidence was immediate and overwhelming. At police headquarters, Detective Luis, the seasoned investigator leading the case, watched Rowand through the one-way mirror. The young man sat motionless, expressionless, eyes blank. That kind of silence, Luis later recalled, isn't innocence. It's satisfaction, the silence of a man who enjoys your fear. A search warrant was issued for the home of Rowand's girlfriend, Maria Howard. In a trash bin behind the house, investigators discovered a blood-soaked bed sheet, cleaning wipes, duct tape, and most chilling of all, a double-edged knife still stained with Samantha's blood. Inside Rowand's car, they found a handwritten note, a list written like an execution plan, duct tape, gloves, gasoline, disposable phone, matches. The word matches was crossed out. This wasn't an impulse. It was preparation. The forensic evidence built a picture of meticulous cruelty. Samantha's blood covered the back seat. Her DNA was found beneath Rowand's fingernails, and his shoe prints matched those at the site where her body was dumped. Then came another revelation. Surveillance footage from a store called Cellular City showed Rowand the next morning, wearing a hood, trying to sell an iPhone. The store owner, Ohamar Williams, testified that he grew suspicious when he saw the phone's wallpaper a photo of a smiling young woman. It was Samantha. Williams refused the sale, and Rowand left. The store security cameras captured everything. Even after the murder, Rowand texted his girlfriend casually about cleaning up. One message read, "Don't need new shoes, the blood's only on the soles." That, he said, is the mark of a psychopath, a man who feels nothing. For him, life and death are just inconveniences. In July 2021, more than 2 years after Samantha's death, delayed partly by the pandemic, the trial of Nathaniel Rowand began.
We'll proceed now to opening statements from the state.
The prosecution laid out a devastating case. The surveillance video, the DNA, the knife, the phone, the handwritten list, every piece of evidence told the same story. Rowand showed no emotion, no regret, no explanation. He sat still, hands folded, as if the entire process were an inconvenience. On July 27th, 2021, after less than 1 hour of deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous verdict: guilty of murder, kidnapping, and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. Judge Clifton Newman looked directly at Rowand as he delivered the sentence.
I have dealt with the heartless, and you fall into that category. A person without any remorse whatsoever. And for whomever asked me for leniency, that's not part of my DNA. The sentence in this case is easy, though painful it may be. The sentence of the court for murder is that you be committed to the State Department of Corrections for life. So thanks to all. If you remove Mr. Rowland from the courtroom.
Once you're in the car, it's too late. We started the What's My Name Foundation.
From Samantha's death came a legacy, a spark of change. Congress passed Sami's law, requiring rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft to display visible license plates, QR codes, and illuminated signs to verify drivers' identities. Her story became a national warning, a call for awareness, safety, and vigilance. One life lost, a system transformed. Yet for the Josephson family, justice could only go so far. Laws could change, courts could convict, but nothing could fill the silence at their dinner table. The empty chair in their home, the voice that would never call again. Rowand will spend the rest of his life behind bars, but every time a young woman checks her license plate before getting into a car, Samantha lives on not as a victim, but as a guardian. The screen fades to black. A heartbeat echoes faintly. Then, her voice gentle, distant as if from the other side of the night. If you ever take a ride home after dark, remember my name. I am Samantha Josephson.